Hi everyone, welcome. I am joined today by the author Madeleine Eskedahl, and she has come to me with not one, but two fabulous books, Rings on Water and Blood on Vines. And I got to tell you, they are some gorgeous books. I'm so excited that there's a third one on the way, so let's just keep that as a little thing. But thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Perfect. So I just wanted to start off, I'm very curious to know how you got into writing and what really drew you to crime writing in particular.
Sure. I've always written. I loved writing at school. I loved reading. I was a real bookworm, always had a book or two or three on the go. But above all, I loved mystery and crime. And of course, I grew up like most crime writers, probably reading Famous Five and Nancy Drew and Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie, all of those absolute fabulous authors. And that inspired me to write. I didn't write crime initially. I probably wrote short stories. And then when my children came along, I wrote for them, just personal, whatever they were going through at the time. And then when the kids grew up, I thought, you know what, I'm going to write for me. So I started writing what I love, which is crime and mystery and suspense. So that's where I'm at, and I'm having an absolute ball.
Oh, fabulous. I love that you started with Agatha Christie and Enid Blyton. I mean, those are some of the powerhouses, I think, of crime back in the day, a little bit softer, but just really went. So I love that that's where it makes sense. That's where you got your inspiration from. So I know that you grew up on the island of Gotland. Am I saying that right?
That's right. Gotland is in the Baltic Sea in Sweden. So it's in between the Swedish mainland and the Baltic states, basically. It's this kind of magical limestone island. It's got a walled city around, a wall around the town, cobblestones. It's very Harry Potter-esque. And the rest of the island, it's just got so much history, Viking remnants. I just feel truly blessed having such a wonderful childhood roaming around the countryside on this magical island.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely beautiful. I can't imagine what it would be like to grow up surrounded by Viking remnants. That sounds amazing. I am curious to know, because you had such a magical childhood in that setting, do you think that any of the inspiration from that time in your life has seeped through into your books and characters or settings or anything like that?
For sure. I mean, there's so much history, lots of fairy tales, and of course a lot of amazing Swedish children's writers and just so much to draw on. And of course, the environment itself, it's quite being an island, it's windy, windswept, and it's cold in the winter, but beautiful summers, gorgeous beaches. Definitely. I mean, I'm an islander at heart, and I think I've been in New Zealand for a long time. I moved here when I was 19, so I had all of my formative years in this wonderful environment, very creative, and then moving to New Zealand, which I've just loved. I love living here. We've lived all over, but we're in Matakana, which is north of Auckland, and living here, something really resonated with me. And I think being an islander, being so close to the sea, it's just springboarded me into all these amazing ideas of what could become a book. I mean, Matakana, I don't know, for the people that don't know, it's just north of Auckland, about 70 k's. It's a wine area. Amazing coastline, both rugged and beautiful beaches, dense bush. So much to explore and so much to draw on. And of course, being so close to our biggest city, there's a lot of people coming up here in holidays and on the weekends, which makes this kind of an interesting area. So you mix this with all the amazing locals. There's lots of creators up here, which just really resonates with me. But having this influx of visitors and people that come up, it's an interesting mix too. And lots of things that happen, maybe perhaps in my head that I imagine. I don't know, but yeah, it's a huge inspiration for me, the environment of Matakana. But I think also, like, my childhood really sort of gave me a good grounding on that as well.
Oh, it sounds like an idyllic place that you've come from and gone to, and I love that you're taking a New Zealand setting, something small like Matakana, and just making it this, I don't know, international deviant place that's just full of history. So I love that. Thank you. And I know that sometimes authors, when you create characters, they're very personal, they're very close to you. So a lot of the time characters do resemble the author. So is there anyone in particular or multiple people in your books that do represent you or resemble you in any way?
Well, I think my characters are mainly made up, and that's a really fun part of creating a character. But there might be bits of me in some of them, some traits perhaps. I've really enjoyed having Bill Granger, who's the main character. He's the policeman in Matakana. His wife Annika, she's Swedish. She's an artist. So I have maybe picked a few things that might be similar to me. Not a whole lot, but there's the odd bit.
Yeah, it makes sense just to draw on those little pieces. It really does make a character stand out, so that makes a lot of sense. Your books are quite a success, so I know our audience would be very keen to know your process. How do you go about writing your novels?
Look, I'm mainly a discovery writer, so I normally come up with a central theme, so I kind of know what it's going to be about. I don't know the exact scenarios, that I know quite how to get from A to B, but I've got the cast of characters that I want to include, and then I just start writing. I try and not feel any pressure. I just sit down and enjoy the process. It's such a wonderful creative thing to just sit there and let the words come out, and I think it's if you can take the pressure off, I think it really helps. So I write till about midpoint, and then it seems to be that I need to go through it again, and then I start to go, okay, so where are we tying everything up? Where are the plot holes? Make sure the central themes tie up nicely. But I think above all, because I am a discovery writer, I surprise myself. So I kind of want to put myself in the reader's shoes, and I write, and then I go, oh, that's great, that's going to work, and oh, that's great. So I'm actually quite enjoying that discovery myself.
Okay, that's really interesting. I think that multiple authors have different ways of approaching it, and it goes to show you that even just like not having the full plot in front of you right at the time and just figuring it out as you go, is just as important, because it creates some fantastic books. So it's good to know. Do you have any kind of advice for any budding crime writers or just writers in general that want to know how to begin their first novel?
Yes, I think the most important thing is perhaps to join a writing community, whether that's online or in person. I was fortunate to be invited along to the romance writers. I don't write romance, but this group of people are just the most inclusive group that you can come across, and they are so skilled. They know so much. So I actually joined up, went along to the meetings, and you can ask advice. You learn so much along the way, talking to other people and other authors. and everyone's very, very keen to share advice. But of course, I also belong to the New Zealand Association of Authors, and you can join before you've got a book out, which is really wonderful. And they've got amazing meetings, great guest speakers, and of course, a lot of support. So you can turn to people and ask, so what's the next step? Because when you write a book for the first time, it's difficult to know where you're going. You don't quite know the process. So if I can recommend, just start writing, join a community, get hold of someone like a manuscript assessor, which you can get hold of through the New Zealand Association of Authors, someone who can cast an eye, someone with experience to be able to perhaps point you in the right direction if something is lacking, or if you need to build on something, just to make the manuscript the best that it can be. But above all, I just go for it. Anyone can write. I think writing is like a muscle. So some people go to the gym, not me, but some people, and they, in the beginning it's tough, but then you train your muscles, and you get better at it. So I think it's just don't be afraid of the blank page. Just give it a go, and people in the writing world are so supportive. So yeah, I just recommend do it.
Yeah, just get started. And also it's really good to know like the different communities out there that can help you as well. You don't have to do it alone. You've got other people who can guide you, who can be friends with you and give you all these tips. So I think that's really handy for everyone to know as well. I'm just curious, for my own personal sake, how far away is the next installment in the series?
Well, it's well underway, and I'm probably through draft 3. So I'm hoping that we'll have an early 2025 release.
Ooh, okay, well, this is good. This is exciting.
I'm really enjoying it, and there's going to be some massive revelations. People are going to go, wow.
Okay, well, that just makes it even worse to wait now, but that's okay. 2025 is not that far, and it gives people plenty of time to read your book, so that is good.
Yeah.
And I'm also very curious to know what you're currently reading, if anything.
I read wide. Even though I love crime, I read lots of other things. But currently on my bedside, this is what I've got. So I'm well into, this is actually a Swedish author, Maria Grund. I love Scandinavian authors. So people like Anna Jansson, Jo Nesbø, Marie Ljungstedt, my favorites. The next one is actually Dark Deeds Down Under, Volume 2, which is a compilation of Australian, New Zealand crime writers. And these are short stories. I cannot wait. The first one was outstanding. So love short stories. So that's the next one. And often read 2 books at a go. So this is The Gallows Bird by Barbara Sumner, which is, she's also a New Zealand author. That's historical. So that's number 3.
Oh my gosh, you're so busy, like with the writing and the reading, and it's just incredible. Well, I'm so thrilled that you had the chance to talk with me, and I'm really excited for the next installment, obviously. And thank you so much for all the advice that you've given as well. Yeah, I've just had a lovely time talking to you.
Thank you. It's been a delight.